Is handing out booze to alcoholics paid for by taxpayers a good idea? California seems to think so. Let's check it out.
As a recovering addict yourself, is this a good idea?
No, it's not a good idea. And not when you consider the fact that over the last 4 years, San Francisco spent $20 million to basically service a total of a couple of hundred people during that 4-year period by giving them free vodka and beer. For that amount of money, we could have funded 60 drug treatment beds instead. So you really have to ask, where's the recovery in all of this? And what is the desired outcome of this program? They say it'll save money, but we just spent $20 million over the last 4 years. So you have to really ask, is it saving money, and is it making a difference?
Yeah, they say their goal is to keep people out of the ER and reduce calls to cops. Do you think giving homeless alcoholics free booze will accomplish that goal?
Well, what also accomplishes that goal is actually drug treatment. So no, it may reduce those calls and thereby save money. But again, we're spending $5 million a year to give people free alcohol, it's kind of like, I'm a recovering heroin addict that used to live on the street. If you just, were spending $5 million to give me less heroin than what I was already taking, guess what? I'd still be on the street today, or I'd be dead from using. So I don't really see what the benefit is of all of this. And I'm glad it was exposed.
All right, so you see a headline like this: San Francisco buys vodka and beer shots for homeless alcoholics in taxpayer-funded program. You might think, what kind of shenanigans are these? And you would be correct. Ultimately, you would still be correct saying, no, that doesn't sound like a good idea at all. Here is the underlying theory. This is part of harm reduction. I call it all harm, no reduction. Harm reduction believes, hey, if people want to booze it up, if they want to do a little bit of heroin, if they want to smoke a little bit of fentanyl off their piece of tin foil, that's up to them. And then when their time for recovery comes around, then we'll help them there too. But what they're talking about is that if you detox on your own from alcohol, you might end up in the ER room, because hardcore alcoholics are basically in the same category of needing medical attention when they go through detox. You get the delirium tremors, right? You get the DTs from going off of booze. That's the same thing as heroin addicts coming off. And they just go, and any of the opioids, you come off those and you're going to need some kind of help, kind of get you through that, right? The most dangerous are opioids, mainly heroin up until fentanyl, and then booze. I mean, you think, well, what about marijuana? Yeah, nobody dies from marijuana. People die from booze, addiction, cirrhosis of the liver, all that kind of stuff regularly. So this is that harm reduction program, and San Francisco being what San Francisco is, which is all harm, no reduction. They're going to spend $5 million, and let's just see how this goes. They're already all, boozed up. Let's just give them a little bit more of a push down that direction. City of San Francisco is providing free beer and vodka shots to, where's the wine? Where's the wine in this picture? I'm not a wine aficionado. I do not drink wine. I do not drink anything but beer. That's me, right? So you got free beer and vodka shots to homeless alcoholics at taxpayer expense under a little known pilot program. How do you measure that? All right. A number of people have gone down that have gone into the hospital and suffered massive heart attacks while going through delirium tremors. It's working. It's working. The managed alcohol program operated by San Francisco's Department of Public Health Services. Public health is handing out booze to alcoholics. What? Oh yeah, this is a good program, Sean. This is really a winner. What about just putting these people in treatment? But no, that's not the road we're going down, right? We're not going down this. Hey, treatment is housing too. Well, why don't you just put them in treatment? Oh no, these people need to commit to treatment when they are ready. No, that's nonsense. You need to put them in treatment because they're killing themselves. All right, so we got public health serving up regimented doses of alcohol to voluntary participants with alcohol addiction in an effort to keep the homeless off the streets and relieve the city's emergency services. So it's supposed to stop these people from going into detox on their own and have to bring out the, ER. emergency services. But it's just so backwards because you've identified the problem because they've already volunteered and said, I'm an alcoholic. I'm a raging alcoholic. Can you come help me and bring me some? If you could bring me some vodka shots, that would be really excellent. I would love that. I would just bring me some. I'm on the sidewalk of 5th and Webster. I'm on the left-hand side of the road. Could you bring that over? Experts say the program can save or extend lives, but critics, how about treatment saving or extending lives? What about that? Because what you're doing is you're just inflaming the situation. You're just giving them more of the poison that's killing them. So is that smart? People got to go into rehab when they got to go on their own. I strongly disagree. 100% disagree. But critics wonder if the government would be better off funding treatment and sobriety programs instead. Yeah. Let me think about that for a split second. Yeah. I would say that's a better call. Less harm, the whole reduction thing. Established in countries such as Canada and Australia, a managed alcohol program is usually administered by a nurse and trained support staff. That makes a lot of sense. Instead of that nurse and trained support staff, working at the rehab center, they're out on the streets giving somebody a shot. Here you go, bottoms up. All right, that's all you get for today. Sorry. A nurse and trained support staff in a facility, such as a homeless shelter or a transitional or permanent home. And so you've got somebody who is homeless, known homeless, from being an alcoholic. You are putting them in a housing, and then you're feeding them booze, a limited amount of booze. Does that make a lot of sense? Yeah. I'm going to have to, just from a humanitarian state, I'm going to have to say, no, that is just straight up backwards California, San Francisco mentality that won't work, doesn't work. And here you are. So you got a nurse and trained support staff in a facility such as homeless shelter, transitional or permanent home. And as one method to minimize harm, there you go, harm reduction, all harm, no reduction, because they're still drinking as an alcoholic. Minimize harm for those with alcohol use disorder. Now it's an alcohol use disorder. Oh, that's better. California Care Foundation explains in a 2020 article describing the pilot program. It's like if you knew what was causing somebody's, cancer to make them sick, and you just keep giving them a little bit more of whatever that is, and their cancer just gets worse and worse. Does that make a lot of sense? Does that make a lot of sense? No, it really doesn't. By prescribing limited quantities of alcohol, the model aims to prevent potentially life-threatening effects of alcohol withdrawal, such as seizures and injuries. Well, do you know what does that as well? Detox. Yeah. Maybe a little 12-step program in there. I don't know. I'm just throwing off, ideas off the top of my head. Maybe, maybe a 30-day program, 60-day program, 90-day I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, right? By prescribing limited quantities of alcohol, the model aims to prevent potentially life-threatening effects of alcohol withdrawal, such as seizures and injuries. Okay, but they're still drinking. And if you think that they're going to stop at the minimum amount of alcohol that they have been prescribed, no, because they're still hitting a fifth of whatever it is. Beer is not traditionally a big alcoholic on the street thing you see anymore. You know how you know that? Because you go by and you don't see beer cans littered everywhere like you used to. Or when you're a kid, you see the winos, they have those bottles of wine and the brown paper bags. Don't really see that. You don't see the massive amounts of beer cans lying around either, do you? It's just not a thing. Now, they're all doing drugs. They're all smoking the Fetty because it's a way better high than, got to drink my 14th beer over here. I'm catching up with you guys on lack of sobriety skills. No, they go in for the hard alcohol or the drugs, and most of the time the drugs. So this whole program here is just, somebody's head is just right, where, not good. It's so ridiculous. San Francisco Managed Alcohol Program, or MAP, which shows you no locations going anywhere, because that's where MAP is going, was established during the COVID-19 pandemic to prevent vulnerable homeless people who were placed in isolation in hotel rooms from suffering from alcohol withdrawal. Maybe because they don't belong in hotel rooms by themselves, but they belong in treatment. I don't know. I'm not a drug and alcohol counselor. Doesn't that make a little bit more sense? A scooch more sense? No, we're going to put them in their own room, and we know they've got a bad drinking problem. Let's give them just a little bit of alcohol so they don't die on our watch. God damn, that would be horrible, wouldn't it? Oh, we can't have that liability. Give them some booze. It'll reduce the liability. Oh, yeah. Never mind the fact that these people are killing themselves with alcohol. There's that. Okay. Yeah. But, this is harm reduction. But the program, which started with 10 beds, has since been expanded into a 20-bed program. 20 beds. $5 million. That operates out of a former hotel in the Tenderloin, the $5 million annual budget, San Francisco Chronicle reported. $5 million for 20 beds. Californians, I don't know how you deal with this kind of spending. This is such backwards, upside down thinking and logic. It just doesn't have any place in reality. Oh, but Sean, the statistics say that. Yeah, you know what? No, these people are wildly out of control. At some point in time, you're going to have to buckle down and you're going to have to do some involuntary putting people into the treatment they need so that when they come out the other side, maybe it's the 4th, 5th, 6th time, they're not quite so pickled and they're like, maybe this is the time I go sober or I go sober for a little bit, whatever it is, right? But I think you owe it to everybody to keep trying. You're not going to get it on the first one. Oh, man, that first treatment I went to, it just magically worked after 45 years of hitting the vodka. That's not going to happen either, right? Alice Moyamian, or whatever, the nurse manager of the Managed Alcohol Program and San Francisco Sobering Center, explained in an October presentation that nurses provide clients with a motel room, 3 meals a day, and enough booze to meet their addiction needs, and keeping someone at a safe level of intoxication. All right. So you got public health, keeping people with a safe level of intoxication that are chronic alcoholics, that you are afraid of having seizures, falling down, hitting their head, doing something like that. I get it. I mean, I understand, but the fact that you're taking this step of handing them booze, you know what I mean? It's right there where you lose me. Okay. So they really need it really bad because their bodies are wildly addicted to it. If they don't get it, it could be like a heroin addict coming off, right? Just, their bodies are just screaming out, and they can have, all kinds of medical stuff that basically puts them down because alcohol is that bad when you're drinking that much on a consistent basis and you take somebody off of it. You need to keep them with safe levels of intoxication. How much is that? How many is that? Is that a couple of shots a day? I don't even know, right? It doesn't even matter because this isn't the solution. Solution is getting people some help that they need if they are long-term, alcoholics. The initial success in stabilizing alcoholic patients prompted health officials to expand the pilot into a long-term program with 10 beds earmarked for the Latinx and indigenous population, while 12 additional beds. So $5 million, 20 beds. Does that make any sense to you? Does that make any sense to you? No. While 12 additional beds are supported at the city's Transitional Sobering Center, Mogahamanyanya said. Bryce Bridge, a social worker involved with the program, said during the presentation that once a client is identified as having alcohol abuse problems and admitted, they are assessed to determine individual needs. Clients are connected to a primary care doctor, provided resources to secure government identification if they lack a social security card or other documents, and assisted with psychiatric care, wellness activities on site, and other evidence-based treatments. They get to go see baseball games. Yeah, they get to go see San Francisco play baseball. Yeah, and then they get to booze it up, and then you get a limited amount of booze back at the Casa, back at La Casa Drinkarino. Yeah, which is also known and run by public health. Interesting. I mean, of course, the article's got to throw this in. Instead of them living on the street here, they're getting boozed up in their home, but you don't want them to die. And that was one of the things with fentanyl. I mean, my son passed away from fentanyl, and he passed away at his apartment by himself. And so, I get this whole, hey, we don't want them by themselves doing drugs, doing alcohol, doing booze if we know. But you know what? I wouldn't have told anybody, hey, get my kid some more drugs that he's going to take and think that they're XYZ and actually they've got fentanyl in them. Go get him some more of that. Keep him going on that stuff. I mean, this will work out fine in the end, right? No, giving anybody any of this stuff. Yeah, just keep their level of addictions going. It should work out great. No, this is absurd. We actually connect them to different community-based organizations that assist us with conducting art groups and poetry groups and just kind of help them explore ways that they can express themselves. How about express themselves in Detox and actually get at the, you're always talking about root causes of issues. We need to get to the root cause of this. We need to reimagine. We need to rethink. Well, how about just start with treatment? If you know they're a known alcoholic, what about just, hey, what do you think about taking a 12-step program today? What do you think about that? No, you know what? Instead, medically, from a medical standpoint, let's just keep boozing Joe up. Let's just booze him up. It'll be fine. And he'll quit when he's ready to quit. The guy's been drinking for 32 straight years. Bridge also said marijuana use is fairly common on our sites. All right, so we are California not sober. We've got weed. We've got beer. We have got hard alcohol, vodka. We have got art groups. We've got poetry groups, and we're going to see baseball games. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? You want to be a hardcore alcoholic? San Francisco is where you need to be. Man, they have got your back. I mean, you're going to die, and you're going to die way faster. But, you're going to go out in style and poetry group and art group and baseball games and one more, tanked up, going to a baseball game. Who doesn't want to do that? Isn't that like most baseball fans? While relatively unknown until now, the program is under fresh scrutiny after Adam Nathan, CEO of an AI company and chair of the Salvation Army San Francisco, made several social media posts criticizing what he witnessed at the location. Inside the lobby, they had kegs set up to taps, where they were basically giving out free beer to the homeless who'd been identified with AUD, alcohol use disorder. Blame it on the alcohol. It's not the person. Oh, no, it's the booze. It's not the person make the decision or no longer capable of making that decision because their body is just basically, craving, that alcohol. Nathan wrote on X, Twitter, after visiting the hotel in Tenderloin where homeless alcoholics are served. So he went there and said, no, can't get behind this. Could you imagine in the Tenderloin, there's like a hotel that services alcoholics and they've got a keg? That's literally what we're talking about. Is that not the most preposterous thing ever? I mean, even if you think I'm totally backwards on this and this is really helping out society, just picture walking into a hotel that is designed for alcoholics and there's a keg of effing beer there. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. But Sean, you got to see the nuance here. You've really, really got to understand the nuance. No. This is silliness. This is shenanigans in California. It's set up so people in the program just walk in, grab a beer, and then another one all day, he claimed. Where's this hotel? I mean, do they have Pilsner? What about lager? You got a solid lager, and is it cold? I mean, inquiring minds want to know, right? I mean, can I just go in there? I mean, Tenderloin, when I'm on the when I'm on the Doom Loop tour, do we get a stop off at Hotel Beer and Booze? I just want to know. The whole thing is very odd to me and doesn't feel right. Providing free drugs to drug addicts doesn't solve their problems. It just stretches them out. Where's the recovery in all of this? He asked. Problem is there, what's your name? I forget. A problem is with your logic there is that it's reasonable and it actually, yes, you are correct. But this is San Fran, and this is the Tenderloin. We're spending $20 million, or we're spending $5 million on 20 beds. Yeah, 20 beds. Salvation Army promotes abstinence for alcoholics and provides free adult rehabilitation programs. Well, that's good because alcoholics probably need to abstain, right? I mean, you're going to drink yourself to death or whatever. Public health officials called some of Nathan's claims misleading. Really? Okay. All right. In a statement of the San Francisco Chronicle, the health department said alcohol is dispensed by a nurse, and homeless people who aren't participating can't just walk into the facility and get a free beer. Well, okay. Well, I'm not homeless, but I wanted to walk in there on the Doom Loop tour and get myself a free beer because, taxpayer dollars, why not? Now we know you can't just go in there and get a free beer. Only the homeless alcoholics can go in and get a free beer. I still want to know. Could somebody let me know in the comments? Could you go in there and find out what kind of beer it is? I just want to know, right? The program operates in a former Tenderloin tourist hotel that has a bar. Oh, this is getting better. So the keg is in a bar. Alcoholics going into a bar and getting free booze. But on-site taps are inoperable and unused, the statement reportedly said. Okay, somebody's lying here. Somebody's lying here, right? Somebody's lying here. Did the public safety? We got busted. This isn't a good outlook. The optics on this are not good. You need to get rid of the keg and you need to tell everybody, nope, the alcohol is dispensed by a nurse. Nurse Ratchet. Nurse Ratchet is handing out the booze. Still, the program has received criticism from none other than San Francisco Mayor London Breed, who said in February that harm reduction was not reducing harm, but making things far worse. Yep, she grew up in San Francisco. Say what you want about Mayor London Breed, and I think she's gone the wrong direction in a lot of things, but she has been. She's actually uttered some sentences that were more towards reality, and she's been around a lot of the drugs. She's been around a lot of this scene most of her life, and I think she understands at least that. How she gets there and handling it, some of the stuff that mayors in general that are elected by the constituents in San Francisco, they're not doing things that I'm like, yeah, fully on board. Are we just going to manage people's addictions with our taxpayer dollars in perpetuity forever? Seems like that's basically what we're saying, said Tom Wolfe. But recovery is not the point. Our goal at MAP is not to decrease the amount of alcohol that is consumed or taper someone towards abstinence. Although both of these things have happened with clients in our program, the goal is to mitigate the many health, legal, and interpersonal harms associated with unsafe alcohol use. But you're giving them alcohol. You are literally giving them alcohol. So you're talking about unhealthy alcohol use. For an alcoholic, that's any. Right? That's any. There's no, all right, let's just cut it down to 14 shots a day and maybe you won't die as quick. Right? Is that what we're talking about? Kind of seems like it, right? San Francisco Fire Department has spoken positively about the program, telling the outlet the managed alcohol program has proven to be an incredibly impactful intervention at reducing emergency service use for a small but highly vulnerable population. Absolute boozers is what we're talking about, right? 20 beds. This is servicing the worst of the worst alcoholics. So if you think that they're, just stopping at your little bit of booze, no, they're taking that and then they're hammering down whatever else they get their hands on throughout the day. And they're just going to keep on going until they're dead. Yeah. So that is how taxpayer money is being spent. 2022 study of Canada's managed alcohol programs found that homeless people suffering from severe alcoholism had a reduced risk of death and fewer hospital stays after participating. Yes, but what about when they are no longer in the program? They are no longer in the program. They're on their own and they're just going for it like an Olympian alcoholic. What about that, right? Yeah, you've enabled them to spin their wheels during a time period they could have been working towards getting sober or maybe cutting down, something along those lines. And instead, as a governmental entity, you have basically just prolonged their inevitable demise from booze because without it, they're going to go into detox. So in my opinion, this money should be spent and these folks should be mandated to be in treatment. I mean, if you're going to cost the taxpayers XYZ, dollars, then let's put it in a direction that's, some might say harsh. Okay. Yeah, but dying of alcoholism, liver failure, all that internal organ failure, that's a hardcore way to go out, right? So, and I'm not saying you put these people into treatment and it gets better, but that's a better direction to head, in my opinion, than, just booze them up, turn that keg to wide open and let's go. Right? That's kind of the way I see it. Handing out the very thing that is killing people doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't care what the studies say. That is just backwards logic. You are prolonging the inevitable. And that to me just isn't right. But yeah, it's not what we're doing in San Francisco. We're just doing shenanigans, and this is kind of how we go. And this is how you end up with a massive population on the streets doing shenanigans all day long, because that's what they do. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'd love to have you subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. And I'll see you on the next episode. Bye for now.